Okay, Aftermath is a film that is appearing on Netflix now and is apparently one of their top films of the week at the time of this recording. So I decided, like, hey, it's a new film, I could use something for a 10-minute rant, so I watched it. The basic premise of it is, I'm just gonna go out and say it, Die Hard on a bridge. Yeah, there's really no way to describe this film other than that. Now, for what you know about the film Die Hard, is this film as fun as Die Hard? The answer is, it doesn't seem to be able to decide if it wants to be that or the other. And this is working against the film as a whole, and I'm going to explain this as I go. So basically, the premise of this film is Dylan Sprouse. I think I pronounced this actor's name right. I actually believe he was one of the Sweet Life twins. I could be wrong about that. I might be mistaking that. I probably should have verified that. In fact, I wanted to verify a lot of these things, but it's a funny thing, when I looked up this thing on Wikipedia, hardly anything written about it. So it doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry, which I find rather interesting. So hey, it looks like I'm tackling something brand new. Anyway, so the thing is, let's see, Dylan Sprouse's character, he's home from the military and he's in the car with his teenage sister, and they have to go over Tobin Bridge, and so I think they're in Boston, right? You can correct me on this if you like. And then, of course, like most Die Hard plots, terrorists just show up. Now, here's the terrorist motivation. They're not after money like Die Hard terrorists. They're after some serious payback, because apparently, this is where the film gets kind of complicated, but there's a very highly militarized vehicle, for lack of a better term, carrying essentially a prisoner who essentially ratted on some guys. And these guys were essentially military contractors. People in the military basically just say, hey, we want you to do some bad stuff, but we don't want to be associated with it, so we're going to pay you to do that stuff, and you just keep your mouth shut. That is what I believe the arrangement is. And the leader of these terrorist guys is he's a real nutcase. I'd say I don't know how these people can follow him, but do I even really need to make an allusion to our current president? Anyway, so basically, these guys take over the bridge, and the way they do it is they set some sort of like explosive device underneath it, so it's severed at a certain point. And I have to say, so the cars can't go over it because there's a huge gap there, so they're basically trapped on one side. I forgot how they secured the other side. That actually should have been more important. So basically, I believe their plan is to simply just go in there and and take out this one person who they want to have revenge on. So I think that the terrorist plan is a revenge plan, for lack of a better term. I guess they're going to go in there. Oh, actually, I think what they want is they want to do a broadcast where they get the military themselves basically admitting to the fact that they were used as military contractors. I think that's their plan. I was honestly very confused by the motivations of these guys. Okay, so Dylan Sprouse's character, he's a guy, like I said, who is he isn't in the military anymore because he left. And there's a scene that I have to admit I actually thought was really well done, because we see in flashback that apparently he was in, actually I forget where he was, Iraq, Afghanistan, one of those places that they put in movies when they just need a character with PTSD, and yeah, this character has it in spades. But essentially, yeah, these bad guys were just gonna take this one lady to, just to be a forced wife, and so he didn't like it, and the Dylan Sprouse didn't like it, so he actually went up against these guys, tried to take the lady away from them, and at that point they shot the lady in the back of the head, and it got pretty bloody. And this, when they show the flashback scene of this, what I really like is how there's a scene where the lady's trying to speak in a certain language, and then it suddenly changes to the point of view where Dylan Sprouse is seeing his little sister, who's about, I don't know, 16 or so, about ready to drive or so, and talking in the same language and something like that. So it's a really cool transition. And this is what I thought was sort of a weak point in this film. I felt like this was a film that really should have been heavy with its message, because when you're doing a film about somebody with PTSD, I really think it's important to really capture what this is really like. And of course, films like this never put the military in a good light. And I think that's a good reason, because I think that there is something wrong with the way we are doing military, because we are essentially just, it's just a PTSD machine. If you're just sending these people out into combat, I mean, they get killed, also, which is bad, then they come back with PTSD, which is also bad. And then they can even do more damage when they get back. So yeah, I feel like this is a film that really should have been deeper with its message, but essentially wanted to do a Die Hard plot. And I recently saw a film that I've also done a 10-minute rant on called Carry On, which was very similar to Die Hard in the idea that it starts out with a premise where a character has to do something that they don't want to do in order to combat a certain evil. And this film was essentially that kind of plot line. Nothing you haven't seen before in films, and nothing you're not going to see again, that's for sure. So, does Dylan Sprouse's character manage to fight off the terrorists and win the day? Oh, sure he does. I mean, hey, did you need me to say spoiler alert on that one? No, you know he's going to do it. It's that type of film. It actually would have surprised me if this character would have lost. I actually would have preferred an ending like that. And who knows, maybe there's a script around in the rewrites or something like that where that actually happened. I actually would have preferred that as a commentary as far as like what was really, as far as what this character is going through. And I feel like there's a lot of parts in this film where characters grow. Dylan Sprouse's character has to admit what he did and to the terrorists. And I actually think that is a really well done scene. And it shows his prowess as an actor. But at the same time, I'm wondering, like, this shouldn't be a fun film. Like the previous example I gave of a film like this, Carry On, that film is a lot of fun because it's a tense, knuckle-biter action film. This one, I feel like, really shouldn't be, but I feel like it was probably pitched that way, so they were sort of trying to do that. And there are some really cool action scenes in this film. And it is pretty violent. It got an R rating for a reason. But at the same time, I really felt like this really needed to be just a deeper film. I just felt like I want to see these issues that are being discussed on here discussed more in detail. And I felt like we really only got like a surface level of this. And I'm trying to think of any film that has done a deeper thing of that. I'm trying to think of like maybe films like The Hurt Locker or other films that deal with this type of PTSD happening. And those films, The Hurt Locker went like very deep as far as like how that goes, and you almost get into the mind of this character. But here we really don't get into the minds of these characters, and as you can see, I'm having even confusion thinking about what is the motivations of these terrorists. Now, we actually find out that the lead terrorist has some sort of tumor in his head, so he's pretty much going to die anyway, so he's kind of doing a little sort of like, well, I got nothing to lose sort of thing, which I don't know. I kind of, the idea of the nothing to lose thing has been done to death, and unfortunately that still does not... And I guess, is that supposed to give you pity for him? Is there any sympathy I'm supposed to have for him? Again, I don't really feel like the movie knows this. I feel like there's things that should have been fleshed out a bit more. And I think with a few script rewrites, this really could have been a very in-depth film that I actually believe could have been an Oscar contender, because there could have been a lot of great and serious issues dealing with the military complex being discussed here. But as it is, I think Aftermath, which is not very well named. I didn't really think that was a good title for this film. More like Terrace on a Bridge probably would have been it, but hey. Anyway, so you might like it, so go see it if you like films like this.